Hi, so my case study today is on Ryan. Ryan is 4 years old. He has selective mutism. He's based on somebody I knew during my internship this past summer. So Ryan's family is very, very supportive. Specifically, his mother is in constant contact with the school about what's going on at home. What can she do to support him at home, all this stuff. And he was saying she said before that he is very, very comfortable at home, and she doesn't see this behavior except when they're out in public where he freezes and doesn't really talk much. So there's no history of selective mutism in the family, just minor case of anxiety, history of anxiety. His strength, I would say, is that he's really funny and he definitely has a sense of humor, but it makes it really hard when he has selective mutism and is so shy to express it. So he has somebody in the class that he's really comfortable with and has brought the side out of him, and which is really great, and I'm really happy about that. So well, actually, because of this strength, and I've noted that, and I thought that, okay, once he's comfortable and he can be put in that position where he's with somebody that he's comfortable with, teachers may support the child with the disability by providing prompts for him or her to make requests or share materials with other children. So this is really what I was thinking about when I put Ryan. You'll see later in the lesson plan if you read it that I put her with him so that this can happen and he would feel more comfortable in the situation. His challenge is that Ryan is very shy. He looks at you and sometimes doesn't even reply, or when he does reply, he mumbles. And during circle time, during circle time he'll be. It's really hard for him. So his IEP goals is that one of his IEP goals is that he'll be able to interact a lot more with peers and to be able to express himself more. And this comes through small group activities and one-on-one facilitation and also speech therapy, which he's getting. So I kind of connected that to what Cook said with small group activities, and he said keep the groups relatively small, from 2 to 4 children, when structured learning activities are involved for children with disabilities. I made 3 groups of 5 because logistically there's only 3 teachers in a classroom typically. So I thought about it like that. And I think this would be a lot easier for him than just a huge group activity with so many people. And more one-on-one support with that teacher. So at the beginning of the lesson I introduced the marching band concept, where I showed them a video of it, which is very exciting. I talked to them about it. What did they notice? And also told them that we were going to end up doing our own marching band and doing, making our own instruments, which I think really motivated them to kind of have that goal in mind when they were, talking to each other later about their instruments or telling each other what they heard. So I really think that motivation connects a lot to the learning targets and is motivating for them to get there to those learning goals of expressing themselves and recalling and all of that. So when I was thinking about the learning targets, I implemented ones that were connected to what the family wanted and were seeing and noticing, like what the mom said about Ryan being out in public and being really, really uncomfortable and not being able to talk and freezing. So I wanted to put that, putting the learning target of being able to, express his thoughts, feelings, and stuff like that, where it puts you in a position where you have, you're practicing this with other people. Um, so also being able to see them, I was thinking being able to see the materials is so, so important. And exploring them beforehand to help the students learn how to think and explore a material. Like, what does it sound like? The questions that they really have to ponder. What does it sound like? What does it look like? And this is actually the visual aid that I would have on the rug with them, the bottle, the funnel, and also, what the three textures, the 3 materials that would have. This is rice, and we would model that on the rug. Well, we would model this in small group activities, actually, being able to do that. So also just having, respect for all types of learners is something that I was considering, being strategic about the groups and reinforcement approach, being very discreet about it because he doesn't like public acknowledgement. And for the summative assessment, the feedback that I would give him, it would be in person, it would be very discreet. It would be like, high five or smile, or, you did it, something like that. If he was having trouble with presenting this, an example of something that I would do would be maybe tell him that I would write down it. I would write down his words and tell him that he could that teacher could present for him, or that a peer could present for him, because the ultimate goal is not to present in front of everybody. It's really just being able to express themselves. So being able to, acknowledge that differentiation is important. Also, there's fine motor work that helps, students construct self-directed learning strategies by making them consider, how do I transfer these materials into one bottle? And, do I ask a teacher to help me? Do I ask a peer to help me? How do I do that? And makes them really think about problem solving. There's an extension activity that I incorporate in here that for the kids that don't reach the learning objective, where they can paint their instruments the day after, and the teacher can be there to facilitate a conversation about what they're doing or what they did before, and recalling and expressing themselves again. So giving them another opportunity. There's also another opportunity provided so that the advanced students would be able to go more in detail about their instruments, asking them, well, why did you name your instrument that? I also responded to Ryan's performance by seeing how comfortable he was with his peer, and seeing that this was indeed successful. Hypothetically, if I was doing this, therefore, in the future, I will set them up together again in pairs and small group activities, so that this can be connected to the primary learning target. Also, in terms of communication that was involved in this, I mean, there's so much. There's receptive language about understanding the instructions being given, and also expressive language about, recalling what's happening, or expressing themselves, their ideas, and all of that. There was a lot of this in there. And what more could I have done when I reflect about this to extend learning? Well, it's good to see a student practicing. I think it would be really, really helpful to see the students practicing on the rug, and transferring this, specifically because Cook says for children with disabilities, young children with disabilities often learn new and more adaptive behavior through imitating their peers without disabilities. So I think this would have been really helpful, even though they were doing it in small groups later and the teacher was going to facilitate that. I think that it would have been better to see both times. So